In 1944, with the Japanese forces losing more and more territory, a way of striking back against the Allies was needed. The idea? Bombing the US mainland. The problem being, it's about 8,000 kilometers from Japan, but an ingenious idea with the use of balloons and high altitude winds would make that idea a reality. Japanese scientists had discovered a strong high-altitude air current which flew over Japan and into the Pacific towards the United States. At 30,000 feet, today this is known as the jet stream. The belief was, if something could be raised into this airflow, it could potentially carry the item all the way to the US. Balloons were a cheap and effective way to achieve this goal. Varying types of bombs could then be attached to the balloons to kill, destroy buildings, or start forest fires. This would be known as the Fugo campaign. The balloons were initially made of silk, but were prone to leakage. The subsequent were made of paper. However, they were only produced in small squares about the size of a road map, so a large amount of workers were needed to glue the paper pieces together in order to create the huge balloons, which were 10 meters in diameter. The next issue was the difficulty of high altitude flight. A hydrogen-filled balloon expands when warmed by sunlight and gains altitude, then it contracts when cooled at night and descends. Therefore, a control system had to be devised. Controlled by an altimeter, when the balloon descended below 30,000 feet, it electrically fired a charge to cut loose sandbags. The sandbags were carried on an aluminium 4-spoked wheel and discarded 2 at a time to keep the wheel balanced. Likewise, when the balloon rose above 38,000 feet, the altimeter activated a valve to vent hydrogen. The hydrogen was also vented if the balloon's pressure reached a critical level. The control system ran the balloon through 3 days of flight. By that time it was likely over the US mainland, and its ballast was expended. The final flash of gunpowder released the bombs. Also carried on the wheel, it lit a 20-meter long fuse. After 84 minutes, the fuse fired a flash bomb that destroyed the balloon. The balloons had to carry a weight of about 450 kilograms. This included the weights as well as the bombs themselves. The bombs mainly used were 15 kilogram high explosives and 12 or 5 kilogram thermite incendiary bombs. Another plan was to use biological weapons such as anthrax or cowpox and send this over with the balloons. However, Emperor Hirohito didn't permit this, so luckily it was never implemented. The balloons were launched from 21 different sites on the Japanese east coast. They were put together and set free with the assistance of about 2,800 men across these sites. Here they would determine the best time to launch was just after the passing of a high pressure front. Suitable launch conditions were expected on only about 50 days throughout the winter period, with about 600 balloons a day being released across all sites. The first balloon bomb was released on the 3rd of November 1944. From there the campaign began and balloons were found in 23 different states, as well as parts of Canada throughout the war. Once the US became aware of the balloons, fighters were often scrambled to intercept one when sighted. However, due to their high altitude, fewer than 20 were ever shot down. The greatest danger came from that of forest fires. 200 paratroopers from the 555th Parachute Infantry Battalion were utilised to fight them. Throughout the course of the war, they suffered 1 fatality and 22 injuries fighting these fires. The campaign, however, would be largely ineffective. In April 1945, US B-29 bombers would destroy 2 of the 3 hydrogen production plants needed for the balloons. In the same month, the last of the balloon bombs was released. During the Fugo campaign, over 9,000 balloons were set towards the US. Only about 300 of these were found or sighted. Most are believed to have either landed in the ocean or in unpopulated areas. On the 5th of May 1945, a pregnant woman and 5 children were killed when they discovered a balloon bomb that had landed in a forest in southern Oregon. They had attended the area for a Sunday school picnic, and it's believed that one of the children may have kicked a bomb, causing the explosion. It was suspected that the balloon had been at the location for several weeks prior to the incident. They were the only deaths attributed to the balloon bomb's Fugo campaign. Following the war, remains of balloons were discovered over a number of decades. The remains of one was even found in British Columbia in October 2019. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to grow your knowledge with stories of military history.